Well, howdy, gang. It's the disembodied voice of Jeff from G's Gear here today. We're knocking out some videos of some items that we're about to list on our shop on reverb.com. And among the items today, we have a really cool Bina 23B Deluxe Harmonium. I thought I'd give you a little walkthrough on this. We'll shoot everything sort of from above here, and I'll try to turn the unit now and again to help you see it. If you're not familiar with these, the harmonium is an instrument from India that is essentially like a drawbar organ or a pump organ. It uses a bellows to push air over reeds that are activated by a piano keyboard. Unlike a piano where the hammers strike strings, in the harmonium, the hammers by default put a pad on a reed and prevent it from moving. And when you press the key, that pad is released and the airflow vibrates the reed and you get your sound. So this is a portable harmonium, and they call it that because it folds up inside a box. So we're going to open it up and just show you how everything goes together. On each side of the box, there's a little lever here that holds the top down. And what one does is release those two levers and then open up the top. This piece on the top is part of the airflow apparatus. And so the top is going to come all the way over. Here's the other part of the airflow. Here's the bellows unit, all folded away. And the top comes down against the bottom, against the back of the unit. And then we want to lift the keyboard out. On each side on the bottom, there's a little catch, and we push those in, and that releases the keyboard, and then we lift it straight up, and those same two catches come out on the sides and hold the keyboard in an upright position. And so we have a piano keyboard, 3.5 octaves. This piece of the top that we folded over, we used the same catch that was holding it shut. And on both sides, what we do is we put those catches into these little clips. And what that's doing is it's taking the air intake and holding it in place against the body so that we can push the air through the unit and activate it to make the sound. So the harmonium, as I said, it's a piano keyboard. In this case, it's 3.5 octaves. It has what's called an octave coupler over here, and we'll get into that in a minute. And then there are stops, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and drones, 1, 2, 3, 4. The smaller knobs are drones. And simply stated, you play that with one hand, you work the bellows with the other, and you push air through it. Now when the air comes through, we'll take this is a cover that you can leave on or you can take it off. I kind of equate it to the idea of lifting the piano lid, on a grand piano. It lets more of the sound out. And you'll see that the keys inside are attached to springs, and those springs push the keys back into place. So one releases the bellows, and you can do it on either side. So you can play this right-handed or left-handed. I'm a right-handed person, so I typically would do it this way. I release the bellows, and then as I push air through and hold a key down, it plays. And as long as there's air coming through there, that sound will keep, and I'm holding the key down, it'll keep playing. So on one hand, we could play a piece of music and just play it as a single note melody line. And I'll use a familiar piece, a little segment of music, and then I'll show you what we can do to thicken that sound, make that sound more complex, because that's the real beauty of the harmonium. It is a single note melody line, but it's also a chordal instrument, and it has the capability of drone notes, which really thicken the sound. I love these as an instrument in a studio. They're really intended, I think, as a vocal accompaniment, but in a studio, and I say this as somebody who grew up listening to the Beatles and the Stones and the Moody Blues and Donovan and all sorts of artists who were incorporating Indian music into popular music of the 60s and 70s. It adds tremendous texture. Having one of these in your recording studio is just a great idea, killer idea, because they add this great texture to whatever you're doing. So to play a simple melody line, I'll see if I can, I'm a guitar player, so we'll see if we can do this. That's single note. We can thicken the sound, or we can make the sound bigger first by employing the stops. What the stops do is they regulate the airflow through the unit, and by pulling them out, you increase the amount of airflow that comes to certain ranges of the unit. The two stops on either end go to a main chamber underneath all of this, and they will let more airflow either to one end or to both ends. So I'll start with one here, and you'll hear the volume go up immediately. That's what's considered the natural sound of the harmonium. If we take the stop here and pull this one out, this gives us what they call the organ sound. And you'll hear immediately it's much deeper. This is letting air into a separate chamber that's pretty much right underneath the keyboard. And the sound will get a lot deeper all of a sudden. That's a much richer quality of tone. But if we wanted something thicker yet, the next thing we could do is we could put the octave coupler in. When the octave coupler is engaged up here, what happens is any key that we play here, it winds up playing the same note an octave above it to a certain point. Once we get up into a range of the harmonium where you run out of notes, then it's just a single note again. But now what we'll hear is we'll play that melodic phrase and you'll hear it doubled. You can see the notes actually double up here. So that's another way to thicken the sound, to get a richer sound out of it. You also have what are called drone notes. And the drone notes are actually entirely separate reeds. They're not connected to the keyboard at all, and they're down inside the housing. And when you pull the drone note out, that note will sound at all times. So I'll leave the natural sound stop out. and we'll pull out the first of the drones. This is a C sharp, and nothing really happens. Well, okay, a little bit's happening until I pull out the separate stop. And then you would have a C sharp note at all times. Push it back in, and this is a D sharp. The stop here helps to add to the sound of the D sharp. I think the drones are also something that are used in Indian music, particularly in vocal music, as something against which the voice works, or maybe a violin would play. So it's a C sharp, a D sharp, a G sharp, and an A sharp. I don't know why they centered on those particular notes. Again, it's probably something that has to do with Indian classical music. G sharp there. And an A sharp here. Got one of them out. There we go. Okay. So now let's take a look at that piece from Within You Without You and see another way that we can work this instrument that I really think is fantastic. In playing what I was playing before, I'm playing in the key of F, where I've got one B flat note. What we can do is we can build our own drones right in by identifying keys here and removing the spring. So here I'm playing an F note, and I lift the spring off and just set it aside. Now that note will sound as a drone. I can do the same thing with a C in this instance, right, in this case. And now I've got a 1 and a 5 of the F chord, and I can play the melodic line against that, and it'll have a much more harmonious quality about it. Let's see if we get it right. Add the coupler. This approach of using drone notes is something that you find in Indian music, in Celtic music, in a lot of world music, and it just allows you to have that thick sound that's going on in the background. Put a hypnotic drum beat behind that drone note, and all of a sudden your melodic line has a great 60s psychedelic kind of vibe about it. What the drone notes also do too is you can play chordally up here. And if you're in the right key, those notes will harmonize. So if we're playing a 1 and a 5 in the key of F, all of our chords in F will harmonize with that. We would have an F chord. See if I can play it right here. A G minor. A minor. I'm sorry, I'm playing the wrong chord. F chord. G minor. A minor. Right? And they're all going to harmonize. flat C. So you can add that thickness, layer in that thickness there, and then all you have to do is lift the spring back up, put it into place, and there you have it. Really, really cool instrument. This is a Bina Deluxe model 23B. They call it a suitcase or a portable harmonium. Just make sure when you're closing it up, have all the stops pushed back in. Otherwise you'll bend one on the case. And make sure that all the air is out of the unit. So push the bellows in. There's a little clamp in the back that holds it. Make sure you've got all the air out. And then the clips push in. Let's see, I have to release this one and this one over here. Push the clips in. Easier said than done. There we go. And let it ease back down. There, got a little air trapped in there. We'll let that air come on out. The two clips come out on either side. Put the cover back in. These are the clamps for the bellows. You can see how that works now. And again, the bellows, they're on both sides, so the bellows can be operated with either hand. Lid closes. Catches go in. And even has a lock to lock it here. It's a really great little unit. It needed a little bit of tuning up and repair. There was a crack over here that we had to glue, and it's completely solid. Some of the keys were sticking a bit, and it's a very hands-on and fairly easy instrument to work on. There are a couple parts that you just, where you can see screws, you just unscrew the screws and take off a couple of covers, and then the keys just lift and pull out, and you can bend and manipulate the springs underneath them just to get everything cherried up. But it's playing beautifully. It's at G's Gear at reverb.com, and I think you should really consider adding one of these to your studio. It's just a great textural, tonal instrument, and it's, I should also say it's tuned to A440, so it will work with all your other instruments and in your standard tuning. When I put a tuner on it and checked it, it was about 4 cents sharp, and that's across the chromatic scale. Given the nature of the kind of resonance and wobbliness of the notes, the way the bellows manipulates the notes, you're not going to hear 4 cents as being anything but in tune. So it's really nicely made unit. New, these are about $8.75, and I think we're going to put this one up for $5.25. Very nice. It's got the octave coupler, all the stops, the drones, the easy ability to manipulate the individual notes and make them drone. That's really a key thing. Not all harmoniums do that. And in great shape. So there you have it. Okay, gang, it'll be there. It'll be there today. And hopefully you'll have a chance to listen to the video and to maybe add one of these and have a lot of fun with it. All right, we'll catch you on the flip side.